Hey y'all, Tom, ND3N here, and thanks for dropping by my shack for a ham shack chat. This time we're going to be taking a look at everything that needs doing to connect your ICOM IC-7300 successfully with the WSJT-x suite of digital modes, and in particular FT8. In the video description, you will find that I have put chapter designations. The chapters are setting up your computer, setting up your rig, and setting up WSJT-x. I have tried to be as comprehensive as possible, but with the sheer number of options available, I certainly may have missed something, added something that is unnecessary, or somewhere along the line selected the wrong option.
You're still only human.
All I can say is this is very similar to how I've set up my other rigs, and in the end it all works as advertised. If you have any questions, remarks, corrections, or just friendly banter, please leave them below in the comments.
Oh, I see Ziggy's back at the complaint department.
Now, let's get a move on and see what you need to do on your computer to prepare it for WSJT-x. We're going to start this whole process with your radio and power supply turned off. The first thing we're going to do is download your drivers. Go to the ICOMAmerica.com website. Come up here to Products. Then we're going to come down here to Amateur. We're going to select Base Stations, and then pick our IC-7300. We're going to scroll down the page until we get to these four tabs, and we're going to pick Support and Download. Now that's kind of a roundabout way to get there, but to make it more convenient for you, I will put this link down in the video description. Come down here, and your first tip is to go ahead and download full manual. You've already got the basic manual. It came with the rig, but it's nice to have it in a PDF version that you can search. You're going to come down here. You're going to see we have two USB drivers. You want to use the most recent one, version 1.30. You'll see that this is for all of these radios. So there's the IC-7300. Click on that, and it's going to bring us to this download page. There's your service of agreement and all of that. So you're going to click and download. And this has been downloaded. And we'll go ahead and open up the folder for that. Double click here. We're going to extract all. And I like to extract it straight to the same downloads folder. We're going to open that up. And you'll see you have a folder for Windows 7 through 10, and then this Windows 10 is good for Windows 10 and 11. So we'll open that one, and we've got two installer programs, an X64 and an X86. I use the X64, but let me show you what happens if you try to install the wrong one. You click on it, and it said, oops, you got to run the 64-bit version on this machine. So you know you got it wrong, and we'll go to the right one. It's going to pop open an installer. We're going to click Next, and your device drivers are installed. Now you have to do this with your radio turned off. That's why I had you start with the radios turned off. Now I'm going to close this and open up the WSJT homepage, and this is where you can download WSJT-x. You scroll down to see installation packages, and you can pick a 32-bit version or a 64-bit version. I use the 64-bit version. Now I'm just going to open this and show you what happens. I get the installer application right here, and this is in my downloads folder. So you would just run this, and it's a simple software installation, and I'm sure you know how to download software onto your computer. Let me close the download here, and show you that you also have Linux versions, Mac versions. You can even get the source code. If you go way down here, you see we have a beta release. This is 2.7.0, whereas we just downloaded 2.6.1. We're not going to look at the beta version. However, I will download it after this video is over and play with it a little bit and give you guys a report in a week or so and let you know how well this one works. At this point, you can go ahead and turn your rig on. Don't have to, but you can. Now we need to make sure our time is synchronized, and I found a neat little program, and I'll go ahead and put the link down in the video description, but it's called Dimension 4, and everybody knows that the fourth dimension is time. You can see right here, the last time it synchronized was at 9:39 p.m. It's now 9:42 p.m., but it brought me to 0.077 seconds, so 77 milliseconds. I can force a sync, and we'll go ahead and do that. That's happening down here, and it took me a little bit different. You can keep doing that. Let's take a look at our history, and I'll change this to 24 hours. So you can see this is 1 second off and down, and here I'm going up and down, but I'm right around the sync mark, and it's close enough for working FT8. Adding Dimension 4, running constantly in the background and checking every 15 minutes for my time means that I don't have to worry about going into the normal Windows time sync. I get it anyways. One thing that really irks me on YouTube is creators that ask for a like or a comment or a subscribe all in the first 30 seconds of a video. How are you as a viewer supposed to know whether or not you like something? Really, we're just a few seconds in and you're making the demand. However, we are a few minutes into this video, and if you've enjoyed it so far and maybe even learnt a thing or two, please take a moment to pop that thumbs up icon and give me that like.
Do you like me?
Coming up next, we're going to take a look at settings and selections on your IC-7300 that you'll need to make in order to properly work with WSJT-x. We're going to start off with a tip. Never touch the screen with your finger. Your finger has grease on it, food, who knows all what's on your finger. I generally use a stylus, and you can pick these up on Amazon for $8, a little bit more, a little bit less. You can also use, in a pinch, a pen. Just make sure that the point of the pen is not extended, and you can get around and do stuff with that. I can even use my pointer. So I can come up here and change my filters, change my frequencies, do all that sort of stuff here. We'll go back to our stylus. Now we're going to change our mode from USB. We're going to add data there. Now we have USB data. Now I'm going to press and hold the filter. You see filter 1 comes up. I am set at the default of 3.6K. You're going to use your twin passband tunings to lower that. You can see my numbers are changing. We're going to take it down to 2.7. You can see our center frequency is going to be at the 1500 Hertz range, so we've already got that offset in there. We're going to clear this by pressing the exit button, and I'm going to press my multifunction knob. You see my RF power is 5%. That's because I'm feeding it to a 30 watt dummy load, and I just didn't want to strain it. You want to keep your RF power low. Between 25 and 50 watts is good. I keep mine on 40. Mic gain, leave that at 50. You want your monitor turned on, and I'll show you another way to turn your monitor on in a bit. I've got mine set at 35% volume. Usually when I'm operating, I turn that down to 25%, but for the sake of the video, so that you can hear what I'm doing on the rig, I've turned it up so you can hear the beeps and any other noises that are important to know for the video. Now we're going to press our function down here. P.AMP/attenuation needs to be on P.AMP 1. P.AMP 1 is used for HF. P.AMP 2 is used for your 6 meter band, and off is off. AGC, you want mid-range. Notch, we can actually turn that off. Noise blanking off, you want your noise blanking off, your noise reduction off. You want your IP plus on. You want your Vox off, no compression, and you want your monitor on. Remember I told you that I'd show you another way? You can turn it on and off from here, but you can only adjust the volume from here. Clear all that out, and we're going to go to our menu. We're going to go to Set, and we're going to go to Tone Control TBW. We're going to go to the TX, SSBD, and we're going to set this. I like to use, let's use 300 to 2700. That's a good working bandwidth for FT8. And we can back out of there, all the way out. Now we'll go into our menu set of functions. And I'm going to move this all the way up. And we're going to move down until we see TX delay. For both HF and 50 meters, I've got it off. Now we're going to move down to timeout timer. I've got that off, and that's you can select when you want your timeout to go, but leave that off. This is your antenna tuner. I've got it set to auto. What that will do is the moment it senses a push to talk signal, if the frequency has moved more than 1% since the last time you used that tuner, it'll do a quick tune. We're going to go back and we're going to go into connectors. I'll scroll this up to the top. For your ACC USB output select, you want audio frequency. For your ACC USB output level, I like to leave that on 50% because WSJT-x will allow you to adjust that on the screen. ACC USB audio frequency squelch, I've got that turned off. I'm going to move it down. ACC USB IF output level, we really don't need to consider that. The default is 50, I'd say leave it there. Same thing with the ACC mod level, that's at 50, and the USB mod level is at 50. USB is the one that we want. Now we'll move down. Our data modulation is through the USB. And we'll jump down here to CIV and go through these. Now I want you to notice the CIV band rate I've got selected to 9600. And you can check, you can have that at 48, 96, or 19200. You can also do auto, which is interesting. What that will automatically do is match this value to whatever your source is saying it needs. I leave mine on 9600, and remember that because we're going to readdress this. Your CIV address is not needed for WSJT-x, but for the future, there are programs that will need to know this 94H. You can adjust it up and down, but 94H is the default. And in the future, when I run across a program that needs that, I'll let you know. CIV transceive is on. Here, you see your CIV USB port. If you select link, you'll see that these all fade away. So we're going to select unlink, and we're going to set our CIV USB baud rate to 115/200. This is the value that we're going to put into WSJT-x. The CIV USB echo back should be on, and now we can back up and look at the USB serial function, which should be set to CIV. Now, we can back out of this just clicking that way, or we can just press the exit button down here, and it'll take us right back out. Hang in there, folks. We're almost done. Please help me share.
Want to share?
This video, as well as other videos of mine, with your friends in the ham radio community, especially on social media. Finally, we've hit the part that I suspect many of you have been waiting for. getting WSJT-x to talk to your rig through your computer. Then setting up WSJT-x so it makes sense about what your rig is telling you. And finally, we're going to demonstrate live and on air an FT8 contact. By the way, these contacts are not prearranged. So if you happen to recognize the call that I work, please let them know that I've used up a few seconds of their 15 minutes of fame. Now that we got our rig set up, let's open up our device manager and go to Ports, COM, and LPT. The item you're looking for is this Silicon Labs CP210X USB to UART bridge, which is my COM9. Your number may be different and probably will be. So here's a tip. Label your rigs. This will save you a lot of time in the future because you'll have everything labeled. I have 3 rigs, 3 WinKeyers, and a couple other devices plugged into my computer right now through the USB cables. But we're coming back here to our COM9 or COM whatever. I'm going to double click that, come up here to port settings. You'll see that I'm set on 115.200. Remember, that's where we had the discrepancy before I showed you between 9600 and 115.200. This is why I told you to remember that number. We can close out our device manager and we'll bring up our WSJT-x settings by clicking on File, then choosing Settings. We want to be in the General tab to start with. You want to put your call here. You want to put your grid here. You can use all IARU regions, and you want this block set to full call in TX1. I like having these selections made, but the ones that you're really going to need up here is the Show DXCC Grid and Work Before status. Double click on Call sets TX Enable, and Calling CQ forces Call First. Now we're going to move to our Radio tab, and from the pull-down menu we select the IC-7300. You can see there's lots of them in there from lots of different manufacturers. We are on COM9. Our baud rate is 115.200. I've selected 8, 1, and none, which you can do. Here under PTT method, you want to select CAT because we're going to allow the radio interface to select the PTT. For mode, you want data packet, and for split operations, you want none. Now we can test our CAT by clicking here, and it turns green. We can also test our PTT. And if you watch the radio, you'll see that I am now transmitting and I'm now off. The last thing we want to do here in the settings, make sure that our input and output sound card are set to the audio codec. And you do that by pulling it down and looking for the USB audio codec. These 2 directories you want to leave in the default area. And you want to remember power settings by band and your tune. Over here, we're going to start by coming up here. I'm going to select a different band. I'm going to move up to 15 meters and select that. Then you want to come down here and find an open spot. Anytime you change this audio frequency, you want to make sure that you run through a couple cycles before you pick a spot. Because if you just pick a spot on what is your receive side and then start calling CQ immediately, you could be coming across somebody. So if you'd pick this slot right here, here's this guy already working there. What you want to do is you got these 4 sliders down here. In the upper left-hand corner, take that one and slide it to the right. That's going to bring up all the weak signals. Yes, it's messy, but it helps to be able to see them. Now I'm going to try to find an open frequency, and it appears I could probably go right about here. Decrease the sensitivity of your waterfall. You can adjust the bins per pixel, and you can see the frequency up here is changing. You want to adjust it to where your full bandwidth, and remember we're at 300 to 2700, which we set in the menus. So we're starting at 300 and we're going up. Here's 2700, so this bins per pixel 5. This N average will select how fast your scroll is going. You can see it's going very slow here. Up here in the main page, these are the settings that I have, and I'll leave them up there for just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and clear all this up here. You just right click and erase, and right click and erase. Over on our rig, I want to click on Menu and select Meter. This is how I usually have my rig running. What we're going to do is set our ALC. This is full scale on the ALC. I should have 0 compression, a very low SWR, something less than 1.5. So now I'm going to press my multi-knob button. I'm going to select RF power, and I'm going to turn that up to 40%. Since we are on a 0 to 100 scale, 40% is 40 watts. Exit out of there, and now we're going to come here and we're going to click the Tune button. You should see the rig momentarily go into tune without me touching the button. Then you'll see a tone, and I'll be able to adjust my ALC using this slider right over here. So here we go. You can see I'm pretty high. You want your ALC to be between 1/3 and 1/2 of the full scale. So right about there is good. You'll notice that my SWR is very low. My power output is showing 40. Untune the tuner. The radio goes back into receive mode, and we're ready to give a demo. So here's our demo, and a little caveat, mea culpa. During the initial recording of this demo, something happened, and when I got to post-processing, I found out that it just wasn't right. So I have come back a couple days later and re-recording the demo. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to play with FT8 for about 20 minutes, and I'm going to set the stopwatch down there so you can see in real time, because we are going to be fast forwarding that 20 minutes down to about 4 minutes. And I'm hoping to make several contacts while calling CQ, several contacts while doing hunt and pounce, and I might even pop up to FT4 to see what's happening there. Let me get my frequency set, and it looks like right about here is a good spot. I'm going to enable TX and start calling CQ. And that's what we got for making contacts on FT8, which was pretty good, and FT4, which was a little disappointing. But good thing I fast forwarded through all of this so that you didn't have to sit here for 25 minutes and 20 seconds being bored. You got something much shorter. Thanks for sticking through to the end. I sure hope that you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed putting it together for you. For the next video in the series, we'll pick up where this one left off, and we'll take a look at adding Grid Tracker and N3FJP's amateur contact log into the mix. I will also be discussing other logging programs that you may use, and without going too much in depth, we'll give you a quick overview on how to interface those logging programs. Please remember to like, share, comment, and please consider subscribing to this channel. I appreciate all of you. 73 until the next Hey Y'all. As always, I am at your service. I'm Tom, ND3N, and I am out.
That was too much information.